The Hidden Architect. When Noah was 12 years old, his grandmother handed him a small brass key. "It doesn't open any door you'll ever see," she said with a mysterious smile. "It opens the one inside your mind." Noah laughed. He searched every drawer, cabinet, and old chest in her house, trying to find the lock that matched the key. He never found one. Years passed, his grandmother died, and the key remained forgotten in a dusty box. By the time Noah turned 30, life had become a routine of deadlines, traffic, and unfinished dreams. He had once wanted to become an inventor, but fear of failure slowly replaced curiosity. Every time he imagined starting something new, a quiet voice whispered inside him, "You're not talented enough. Someone else has already done it better. You'll only embarrass yourself." He believed those thoughts because they sounded familiar. He didn't realize they were not facts. They were old programs running quietly beneath his awareness. One rainy evening, while cleaning his apartment, Noah discovered the brass key again. Wrapped around it was a faded note in his grandmother's handwriting. "The brain is the world's greatest machine. The subconscious mind is its hidden architect. Learn to speak to it, and it will build the life you imagine." The words stayed with him. Noah began reading books about neuroscience, psychology, memory, habits, and the subconscious mind. He learned that the brain constantly rewires itself through experience, a process called neuroplasticity. He discovered that repeated thoughts become unfamiliar pathways, making certain beliefs easier to think than others. But one sentence fascinated him more than anything else: the subconscious learns through repetition, emotion, and imagination. What if, Noah wondered, my life has been designed by thoughts I never questioned? That night he had the strangest dream. He found himself standing before a gigantic golden door floating in darkness. There was no wall, no building, only the door. In his pocket rested the brass key. As he placed the key into the lock, the door opened silently. Inside stretched an endless city unlike anything he had ever seen. Glowing highways, connected towers made of shimmering light. Rivers flooded with streams of memories. Billions of tiny sparks traveled between glowing trees whose branches resembled neurons. A voice echoed around him, "Welcome to your mind." Noah turned to see an elderly woman dressed in silver robes. She looked remarkably like his grandmother, though younger. "Is this real?" Noah asked. "It is as real as every thought you've ever believed." She pointed toward the glowing city. "This is your brain. Every building is a memory. Every road is a habit. Every bridge is a connection strengthened by repetition." As they walked, Noah noticed something surprising. Some roads were bright and white. Others were cracked, overgrown, and barely visible. "What do they mean?" "The bright roads are thoughts you've repeated thousands of times, and the broken ones, dreams you abandoned." They entered the massive control room filled with countless screens. Each screen displayed moments from Noah's life. On one screen, he hesitated before speaking in class. On another, he declined a promotion because he doubted himself. On another, he delayed the design for an invention after convincing himself it wasn't good enough. Above the screens work silent builders carrying glowing bricks. Who are they? Noah asked. They, the subconscious builders. They never sleep, never. What are they building? Whatever you repeatedly tell them to build. Noah watched one builder receive a message that read, I always fail. Immediately, the builder strengthened a dark wall labeled fear. Another received, I'm terrible at public speaking. The builder widened the road leading toward anxiety. A third received, I learn quickly. The builder began constructing a beautiful bridge toward confidence. They don't judge, Noah asked. The guide shook her head. The subconscious doesn't argue, it responds. Give it repeated instructions and it assumes they are important. Noah stared in amazement. So I've been giving a negative blueprints all these years. Exactly. Suddenly an alarm echoed through the city. Dark clouds gathered overhead. Shadowy creatures emerged from the streets. What are those? Automatic thoughts. They moved incredibly fast. One whispered, You'll never succeed. Another hissed, Don't even try. A third laughed, People will reject you. The shadows grew larger every time Noah believed them. How do I stop them? You don't fight them with fear, said the guide. You replace them with truth, evidence, and deliberate practice. She handed Noah a glowing lantern. This is awareness. The moment he shined its light on one shadow, it dissolved into mist. Another transformed into a harmless cloud after he questioned it. Is this, though, actually true? No. Do I have proof? No. Can I choose a better response? Yes. Each question weakened the darkness. The guide smiled. The conscious mind chooses, the subconscious builds. Together they reached the center of the city where stood an enormous unfinished place. Its foundation stretched farther than Noah could see. What is this? The life you are capable of creating. Why isn't it finished? You stopped giving instructions. She handed him a blank blueprint. What do I write? What kind of person do you choose to become? Not what job. Not how much money, not what others expected. Who he wanted to become. After a long silence, Noah wrote, a curious learner, a courageous creator, a kind leader, a patient problem solver. The builders immediately rushed into action. Golden light spread through the place. Now, new roads appeared across the city. The guide nodded. Identity shapes behavior, but thought alone can't build this place. Correct, she smiled. The subconscious loves action even more than words. Suddenly, doors appeared around the place. Each door bore a single word: learn, practice, create, serve, discipline. Each action, she explained, confirms the instructions you give your mind. Noah opened the first door. Inside, he saw himself studying for 1 hour every day. Behind another, he saw himself speaking confidently despite feeling nervous. Behind another, he built inventions that helped people. None of the scenes were dramatic. Each consisted of small actions repeated constantly. Success, the guide said, is rarely built in giant leaps. It is constructed one repeated choice at a time. The city suddenly began glowing brighter. Roads connected, bridges expanded. The place grew taller. Noah realized something remarkable. His future wasn't changing because of magic, it was changing because his habits were changing. The guide placed the brass key back into his hand. The key was never magical. What does it unlock then? Attention. When you consciously direct your attention to influence what your subconscious strengthens. The city slowly faded. Before disappearing completely, the guide spoke one final sentence: guard your thoughts, but more importantly, guard your repeated actions. Together, they become your character. Noah woke before sunrise. For the first time in years, he didn't rush to check his phone. Instead, he sat quietly. He wrote down 3 things he wanted to learn, 3 actions he would complete that day, 3 thoughts he wanted to repeat. Not because repeating words alone would change reality, but because they remind him to act. Days became weeks, weeks became months. He noticed subtle changes. He read instead of scrolling endlessly. He exercised even when motivation disappeared. He volunteered to present ideas at work. He built small inventions during weekends. Each success was tiny, each failure taught him something. Instead of saying, I'm bad at this, he learned to say, I'm improving through practice. His brain adapted, skills grew, confidence followed experience rather than wishful thinking. 5 years later, Noah stood before a crowded auditorium. The boy who once feared raising his hand now spoke to hundreds of students about creativity and learning. He held up an old brass key. The key doesn't unlock treasure, he said. It reminds me that the greatest power isn't hidden in some magical object, it's hidden inside every human brain. He explained that our subconscious mind, its shapes, by repeated experiences, habits, emotions, and beliefs. He told them that fear can become a habit, but so can courage. Doubt can become automatic, but so can confidence built through preparation. The brain is always listening, he said, so choose carefully what you repeat. After the lecture, a young girl approached him. I'm scared to become a scientist, she admitted. What if I'm not smart enough? Noah smiled. I used to ask the same question. He placed the brass key into her hand. Don't ask whether you're smart enough today. Ask what you'll practice today. She looked confused. That's all? He nodded. Your brain changes through learning. Your subconscious grows from what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. Small actions repeated constantly become extraordinary results over time. The girl smiled. Years later, she became an engineer designing clean energy technology that transformed communities around the world. She kept the brass key on her desk, not as a symbol of magic, but as a reminder that the greatest superpower wasn't mind reading, telekinesis, or invisible strength. It was the remarkable ability of the human brain to learn, adapt, imagine, and reshape itself through purposeful thought and consistent action. The truth superpower had been there all along, hidden inside every mind, waiting for someone to believe that growth is possible, to question limiting beliefs, and to take one small step forward each day. And perhaps that was the greatest mystery of all. The subconscious mind was not a genie granting wishes. It was a faithful architect quietly building the blueprint it received from our repeated thoughts, emotions, and actions. When guided with awareness, persistence, and hope, it could help construct a life far greater than fear ever imagined.